G'day Madonna and all you music superstars. This is the second video for you. Now, that's the beautiful thing you're doing, Madonna, in Africa there with your 30 wonderful charities for the children, and we really applaud you for it. And see, that aligns perfectly with our vision to create a happy future for our children, both Indigenous and non-Indigenous, from all walks of life, without prejudice. It's a beautiful vision which has pulled everyone in behind us, all decent, good-hearted people, really dedicated to our vision. So it's one thing to make a vision, but it's another thing to create it. Alright, so you've got to look at the obstacles that we're going to be running into. There's so much corruption around the world and all the governments now. You see, like I said, I'm giving all my profits to the children's charities. I'm happy to do that, and I'm a 100% shareholder for the Live Aid benefit concerts, and we're talking 108 billion that I'm giving back to the children. It's going into Africa for those child safety centres down in the cities all around the world, starting with Australia and Africa, where the worst problems are, because Africa is the child sex crime capital of the world. Do a search on the internet, you'll find out. Also, the sex crimes are horrendous here in Australia. We have the highest number of paedophiles per head of population anywhere in the world. Perth is the paedophile capital of the world. 52 paedophiles per suburb, and they're not very big suburbs, but only 1 in 10 actually get convicted because it's so hard on the children and the families. It takes a long time. So really the figure is 520 paedophiles per community. So you're looking at 10% community, and it's horrendous because the worst paedophiles are up in government, politicians, the police, and among the judges. These are all members of the secret societies, the Rothschild secret societies like the Illuminati, Skulls and Bones, Freemasons, all them, they're paedophiles, and they rape little children in their damn their secret rituals, and they get away with it. But because the paedophiles at the top, they look after the paedophiles over here. It's a paedophile sanctuary. So how can you create a happy future for children in communities like what we have here in Perth? It's very violent, particularly at night. Watch our videos on the homeless to see how violent it is. We have really severe racism of the police against anybody homeless and against anyone coloured. I can't believe the amount of racism we have here, which we're exposing. And so, well, what we're going to do is actually take the Australian governments out of power and remove the Queen of England as the head of state, put an Aboriginal in there, and get a regime change, close down Parliament, just dissolve it. And we can do that with the Live Aid benefit concerts, and because we're going to have 2 billion fans watching the 36 concerts, 6 concerts per weekend for 6 weeks, and with 2 billion people you can create a regime change piece cake. See, because Bob Geldof did in 1985, and he forced the Rothschild central banks to, and you don't muck around with the Rothschilds, he forced them to cancel the debt for the third world countries. That's what you can do with the 2 billion or 1 billion. He did it with 1 billion followers, but we're doing it with 2 billion because we're going to have right across all the television networks, plus also all the VR, AR technology and the hologram technologies, beaming the superstars onto our stage while they're doing concerts in another part of the world, using holograms. And so we're at the leading edge of it. We've been 18 years on the product. We have an amphitheatre of guitar shape. It produces a majestic 3D surround sound, the most superb sound, most clearest sound, and you'll hear the guitar coming from the right end, and then you hear the lead guitar, bass guitar comes in from here, the lead singer comes in from the back of the brain, the backup singer is coming from the front. Alright, so it's quite a difference with the light, isn't it? So let's just see if I can change that. Anyway, so that's what we're doing, and the concerts will raise a lot of money that we give back to the children, for the children. And we're dealing with, the main problems we want to deal with is the get our children away from cities like we have here in Australia, which are 95% of the drugs are distributed by the government, controlled by the government, and the drug squads and whatnot. And then you've got the sex crimes here, with so many paedophiles. How can you create a happy future for children if your communities are surrounded by paedophiles everywhere, or the kidnappers of children using them for as sex slaves? And we're talking young children. And here in Australia, you know, we have the truck drivers. In Africa, the truck drivers are the paedophiles that are travelling between states, and they're having sex with the children and passing on all sorts of diseases like HIV, because they don't use condoms. But over here in Australia, what they're doing is they're giving the children, little girls, they're giving them, and boys, petrol. The truck drivers giving them petrol in exchange for sex. They're not even paying for it. And this is a horrendous sex crimes here. It's got to be stopped. But when you've the main perpetrators are in government and they're also pushing the drugs, how do you fix the problem? The only way to fix the problem is take them out of power, and we'll show you how to do it. It's on that, go to Notorious Mick Jagger, right, on YouTube, and you'll see how we're going to do it, right? And yeah, it's the only way to do it. You've got to take them out of power and create a regime change. And you do that with 2 billion fans, and you just simply use AI and a very powerful website to have all the fans just jam all the websites and all the phone lines, all the email systems, everything, and sending in 10,000 complaints into every government department. You just do that non-stop for whenever, until they dissolve Parliament and put a green corporation in place, running lean and keen and fully transparent, and just change the whole system. You don't need all these politicians ripping everybody off, and we're exposing all that. So we've got to take all these, you see, the best place in the world to build sustainable villages, sustainable cities and paradise is actually throughout the African continent. But it's too corrupt. They've also got the most resources that are critical for building sustainable cities. Now, our sustainable cities are beautiful. We use the monorail systems moving away from the river or the coast, and we only got to do it in the rivers that are not going to dry up. All right? And then we use monorail systems moving away from the river in figure 8 formation, and then adjacent to the river, 2 loops, and adjacent to the river for as many loops as we like. So, and then the compact community is the size of a footy oval, and we put 5 10-storey high passive solar design buildings that don't run off the grid. So they all run off solar and also the wind turbines. So that's all good. And we'll teach you all about it. You can watch all that if you go to the Notorious Mick Jagger YouTube and look at the Part 2 Sustainable Cities in Paradise video, and also have a look at the Safe Nations Zero Emission Economies, and that'll tell you everything about it. So you're going to love what we do and how we do it. But these beautiful sustainable precincts are for the children, and 80% of the community will be 6 to 16-year-olds. So that was that happy training curriculum, is to train the children before they turn 16 and to recruit them at age 16. And that way, our communities in 20 years' time, 80% will be 6 to 16-year-olds with their parents and siblings that get through the happy training curriculum, and also their grandparents. And it's under a lifetime cradle-to-grave employment and habitation contract. So they're there for life. They don't retire at 65 and that's it, give you a gold watch, see you later. No, they're there for life. So we pay for everything from birth of a little child right through to the death of old people, and we pay for funeral too, with our own cemeteries and stuff. So they're only built in the remote wilderness areas. We have the compact communities on the monorail system. We do and I won't go into all that, it's on those videos how we do it, and it's wonderful how we do it. So that way we can provide the children guaranteed employment when they complete our happy training curriculum, become a graduate, and then also go out and help other children to learn how to do the happy training curriculum, because it's real simple, very simple, and very wonderful for them because it gives them hope. in a better world. At age 16, we'll guarantee them employment, we'll train them in what they need to know. Now the thing is, we don't need all the other trades. And take a look at this, what do you reckon that is, right? I asked someone this morning, they said, that's granite. I said, that's correct. But what it is, if you have a look here, the base product is actually fly ash from a coal-fired power station. And they pay us to take it away, because they can't dump the fly ash. There's about 100, 200 acres of this ash from burning the coal for many, many years. So they pay us to take it away. We put a factory there, and then we use the base product, and then we add in granite in this case. And because it's already been burnt, it's got zero emissions. So it's fireproof, stormproof, waterproof, and vermin-proof. And it is twice as strong as cement. It doesn't shrink. So we have all the panels from ceiling to floor, and then in the factory we put the wiring and the plumbing, right? And then we deliver, if we're doing a sustainable village, we deliver to the site in a shipping container, the whole house. So two 16-year-olds can unpack all the panels, clip them all together, and we make the panels out of this. But we have different finishes, from beautiful finishes from marble, it looks like wood, some of them from limestone, can't really tell the difference. But the panels clip together, because they don't shrink like ordinary cement and twice as strong as cement, we use them also for the scaffolding. You have a big fat Mary standing on the scaffolding and it doesn't break, solid as. But very efficient, very quick to build because we've got rid of all the trades. There's no bricklayers, no painters, there's no plasterers, no ceiling fixers, there's no tilers, got rid of the whole lot except for the electrician and the plumber who come in at the end of the build. Right, so that's all good, it's very quick. And then when we go floor to floor, we have couplings that connect from floor to floor. And then the electrician and the plumber come in at the end of the build and fit all the renewables from solar glass to laser cut glass to divert sunlight. Also the wind turbines, it's the not the blades, it's the horizontal wind turbines, and also the photovoltaics and the hot water systems, or everything's solar. And also for running the monorail system. It's pretty noisy here at the moment, and so because I'm in a cafe. Now you need, with these children, to get them relocated into these remote wilderness, pristine wilderness areas, and where they're safe cities, right? That's what we call them, safe nations, because we have the screening process through the Happy Training curriculum, and we don't let anyone into these, even visitors into our communities, because everybody's been through the Happy Training curriculum, they're positive, they're enthusiastic, but they're actually decent and good-hearted. If they're not, they don't get in these communities. And they're beautiful, so everyone lives in peace and harmony. Now, this is the way to go to help us to get the vision by building infrastructure for the children to live in these lovely, sustainable cities. So with the average, if we've got 80% of the community is 6 or 16-year-olds, in 20 years' time, their age of the community, 80% of the community is going to be, 20 years on the 6, 26 to 36. Still young people, aren't they? But if you put 80% of the rotten baby boomer generation and they're aged 54 to 72, in 20 years' time, how old are they? 74 to 92. You just built yourself an old people's village. And very costly when it comes to hip replacement and heart operation and all that sort of stuff. Big loss of money. So you've got to go the young ones. Employ that at age 16. I'm from the Royal New Zealand Air Force where I did my training for 10 years. They employed at age 16 because at age 16 they're not into, well, they'll sort their act out. When they say no drugs, they won't go on the drugs, they get kicked out. So they're teachable, they don't have an attitude, they're not, they can be a little bit rebellious, but they pull their heads in. And age 16 is what most of the Royal New Zealand Air Force were trained at in that. They're mobile because they're not married, they haven't got children yet. And for example, if we're building a sustainable city and we're behind schedule because all the shipping containers and things get delivered just on time, and if we're behind schedule, you've got all these barges lined up with all the products that come in, but we're behind schedule, so all we do is fly in with all these young 16-year-olds and We had the back door down on the Hercules, and they all dive out the back with parachutes, land in there, and bring the building project back on track, because we've just delivered all the manpower straight out of the back of the Hercules. This is really exciting for young people. That's what we did in the New Zealand Air Force, but we were dropping the SAS out the back door, and they had special birdman suits, and we dropped them 10 miles out to sea, and they flew in and then did what they needed to do. So this is the way we're doing things. It's exciting for the children to get be in a business like this, and we can move them anywhere around the world within 2 hours' notice. You can't do that with a married man or a married wife with children and responsibilities, and hence a young and excited workforce. Employ them at age 18. Now, this project's so exciting, and as I said, I'm not interested in all the money from the Live Aid concerts, because what we're doing when we build these sustainable cities, for example, we're able to pre-sell them in what we call an upfront payment of $400 billion for 10 of these sustainable cities. That's $40 billion each to the big tech companies, because they're going to be fleeing America in the next. They're trying to get out now because they know that the civil war is about to start, and we knew this 2 years ago thanks to Harry Dent. So they're going to have to get out of America, so they'll be happy to pay $400 billion up front for 10 of these sustainable cities to relocate all their people who go through our happy training curriculum, by the way, and then they're safe in their own sustainable cities, corporate owned and operated. Then the other 5, they inhabit 5, the other 5 they put on the market and they sell it for $80 billion per city. That's a good profit margin, right? But here's the trick. Once they do that, they can pre-sell. They can then do an IPO to raise 1.2 trillion, right, for the next 10. So, and that's how you do it. You don't have to even dig a hole. You just have to purchase the upfront payment and paid it, and this is even before installing the projects. And then they launch the IPO and raise a lot of money, because we've got the right Sustainable Nation Building Industry Steering Group, and we have the technologies. Now, just having a look at that, we don't use fly ash all the time. Now, where we're doing the concert venue, we're putting up 30 10-story high passive solar design buildings, and that's in 6 compact communities holding 2,000 people. Now, up there, if you have a look here, all over the ground, right, look at these. All over the ground are these rocks. Having difficulty showing you, I've got a bit of glare. Right, but see that rock there? Yeah, see that rock there? It's like a crystal, and they're everywhere over the ground. There you go. And what we're doing is, because our factory is only 30 minutes away, right, we're going to crush them. And then this one here we had granite. Well, we're putting that in, because it's right there. So if we're up in the north of WA, Western Australia, they got the red sands, we put the red sand in, so we're bringing the outdoors indoors. So cheap, cost effective, with the fly ash we get paid to take it away. So put the factory next door, manufacture the panels, put them in the shipping container, deliver to site, low cost. And 2 16-year-olds can build a house in just 28 days. Now, this project's so exciting. See this guy here, right? That is Martin Fridson, right? Chairman of Merrill Lynch Banking and Investment Division of Bank of America, one of the biggest banks in the world. Martin's following us. He's been very, very interested in our projects, and he's given us a good plug. Right? We got people like that, and check out Merrill Lynch, Bank of America. Just see just how influential this guy is. He wrote the book How to Be a Billionaire. Now there, if you go to there, it's called summaries.com. Download How to Be a Billionaire and read that. It'll take 10-15 minutes. And that's Martin speaking, promoting his book, How to Be a Billionaire. So everything we've done is in alignment with what Martin teaches to solve people's problems and improve their quality of life, to get at the front end of global paradigm shifts. Also, this is the other one you want to have a look at, right? The top trends 2017, and that's by Roger Hamilton. He's here in the bottom picture there, on that picture there. So if you check that one out as well, you'll see how we're doing it. And interesting, another very interesting person who's helped us out as well. And this guy here, right, that's Harry Dent, right? Harry Dent is the world #1 stock market analyst, and I went to Harry's seminar year before last, and he told us about the civil war going to happen in America. Now it's happening, everyone's buying arms, but he predicted it 2 years ahead, and he told us. But Harry told me a secret, a really, really good secret, I'm going to share with the people that follow us about how not to lose money. So Harry Dent came again in November, and he was saying that the stock market crash is going to crash before February, and it's now February. But you see, us Maoris know how it's going to crash because our Maori triads are cutting up all the railway tracks in Australia that carry the 35 minerals that Trump needs for his manufacturing plants. No minerals because China cancelled the other half. So you came here, but the Maoris cutting up all those railway tracks, getting crack and coke junkies to cut them up for 6 months free meth. They can do it. And the first one had been cut up. If you check out on also Notorious Mick Jagger and have a look at the video, I think it's right at the bottom. It's called the BHP Runaway Train Derailment. Watch that, and you'll see that they are actually going to cut those tracks up. That was the first one. It was a little demonstration for our institutional investors who didn't believe that the Maoris were going to do it. So, Maoris say they're going to do something, they're going to do it, man. Right? So this person here, Harry Dent, right? When I was at a seminar, I said, Harry, can you do us a favour? I've got a document here that says, research project to provide hope for children in a cruel world with our sustainable village, sustainable cities in paradise. And there's our wonderful vision there. See, with the children, isn't that lovely? Those are the children we want to help. So, 6 to 16-year-olds, employed at age 16. They're excited. Young, versatile, move anywhere in the world, very quick. Hard workers. And they're all graduates of our Happy Training curriculum that you, Madonna, can make $6 million from $1 million investment every year, $6 million as your profit share. So I asked Harry on the first day of the seminar, Harry, can you edit this document? He said, yeah, tomorrow, I'll do it tomorrow because I finished speaking at 10:30. 10:30, I'll take your document, I'll edit it. I'll get it back to you by 4. He says, I don't go back on speaking to about 4. So he had all day, right? But if you have a look there, this is the document, and you can see Harry has only edited it in about 3 or 4 places. So if you want a copy of it, I send you a copy. So if you've got Martin Fridson backing us from Merrill Lynch, who wrote the book How to Be a Billionaire, right? And you got Harry Dent, the #1 stock market analyst, backing us as well. He edited the document. Now, if there's something wrong, Harry Dent, he's really straight up, man. He'll tell you talk a load of rubbish. So, he's very excited. And so is everybody else related to us, because it's not about us. It's about the children. And at the end of the day, you see, when we're talking $1.2 trillion in IPOs and floating companies without even digging a hole, that's big money. So when we're talking $109 billion for the Live Aid benefit concerts, why not get the money to the children for the child safety centres and HIVs throughout Africa? Because in Africa, you know, they've got the doctors there, but here in Perth, people with HIV have one little tablet. It stops them from spreading the disease, and it also boosts the immune system. So, but that's $100 each, $36,000 a year. In Africa, they're lucky to make $1 a day, $365 a year. So how the heck can the country pay to stop the HIV spread and to boost the immune system? So with the 108 billion, we'll be using that to go into the African nations. But what we're going to do first is take them out of power and put in decent. Oh yeah, look at that. Hey, that's better, isn't it? I'll just leave my hand there. So and to put in decent, not a government, but what we call a green corporation. So this is what we're going to do. All right, so we'll talk about another time. That's what I'll leave you with. And you know, you're going to just love what we do. And it's not about us, it's about the children. We'll catch you later.